When the State Department of Education recently released this year's school report cards, the results for the state's biggest districts were disappointing. The question is, how disappointing? ONR's Jason Doyle reports many believe the report cards missed the mark on what's actually happening in the classroom.
What's something else that we want to include in our paragraph?
This year's school report cards are based on new, more rigorous criteria. And as expected, the grades show hundreds of Oklahoma public schools are underperforming. Or are they?
The report cards that we have really don't paint a true picture of what's happening in our schools. One single letter grade, a bell curve, a one-time test score doesn't show what's happening in our schools.
The report card takes a look at 6 areas. Academic achievement is how prepared students are for the next grade. The state got a D. Academic growth is how much students have learned compared to the previous year. The grade is a C. English language proficiency measures how English learners are performing. The grade is a D. Chronic absenteeism is a C on the report card. Post-secondary opportunities is a C, with graduation rates getting a D.
We do believe it's information that will help schools recognize where they're improving and where they need more robust supports.
In addition to the cumulative grade for all schools, each school received an individual report card that can be accessed by parents online. Overall, 108 schools increased at least one letter grade, 897 schools remained unchanged, and 530 schools slipped at least one grade. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Joy Hoffmeister says despite the results, the majority of schools are showing progress under the new standards.
When you combine those two schools that increased or remained unchanged, it's important to also know that that is, if I'm doing my math right, about 67% of our schools that actually are showing progress because the targets, it is more difficult every year.
Hoffmeister says that means a school with an unchanged grade is making progress.
And that is something that needs to be understood when we've just look at that unchanged grade and what that reflects year over year.
The Oklahoma Education Association believes the school report card accountability system needs improvement.
This is something that we will continue to work on, that a single letter grade, first of all, is not required by the federal government. The only thing the federal government requires is that we identify our lowest 5% of our schools and how they're performing.
Once those schools are identified, the state can offer increased resources to help them.
Because those are our schools that need more services and supports, and that's what this is about, getting them those services and supports that they need.
Bishop says more information is needed to understand why a school is failing or succeeding. Things like how a school handles a child dealing with trauma and what mental health support systems are in place.
We need more items like that. We need to do a deep dive.
Bethany Public Schools is one of the districts which performed well under the new standards. Its middle school and high school received Bs, and the Earl Harris Elementary School received an A.
You know, it's nice to have the grade, but the reality is it's really about giving kids a quality education, and that's what we want.
Bethany Public Schools Superintendent Drew Eichelberger says the district's teachers focused on understanding the new, tougher standards.
All of our teachers spend a lot of time just studying the standards. Our elementary teachers have committees where they dive into those standards and they break them down and they try to see what it is that that standard actually means.
Eichelberger says it's imperative to keep track of a student's performance throughout the year.
I don't know how you make this work if you don't assess your kids regularly and then see if what you're teaching is what they're learning. Because you can teach a brilliant lesson, but if nobody learned from it, nobody learned.
Jason Doyle, the Oklahoma News Report.
And we should mention Joy Hoffmeister is also the chair of the OETA board.